You know how I've talked about John Paul Miller's oldest son, Logan Hardy, lately? Well, Logan has a painting business, Coastal Paint and Color Consulting. Call them today for all your paint. I'm just kidding. This isn't a promotion for his business. The other day I decided to check out the Google reviews for Coastal Paint and Color Consulting, and look who I found. Well, isn't it nice of dear old Dad to leave a review on his Mini-Me's Google listing? And because I'm a nosy old broad, I decided to look at John Paul's other reviews, and I found one that was pretty interesting. I don't mean this one where he left 5 stars for his own church, and then Trisha responded thanking him for his generous rating. I mean this one, quote, "Hannah is the best, smartest, and most caring psychiatric nurse practitioner." Well, it seems that John Paul was seeing someone for mental health care, and good for him. I mean that sincerely, too. But it would appear that he wasn't going to a state facility like Micah, though. His review was left for Strand Psychiatric Associates, which is a clinic that advertises that they provide state-of-the-art psychiatric care. Maybe he just got confused when he saw the word state. State-of-the-art sure sounds a lot fancier than Waccamaw Mental Health and their, on the other hand, clinician's notes. There has been discussion recently about Micah and John Paul not having insurance. But I have to wonder why there was such a vast difference between their treatment facilities. Why wasn't Micah able to go to a private clinic? I think she was definitely worth it. Maybe it was because actual psychiatrists who don't write patients' notes, like they don't have a license and sound like their real job is juggling hamsters at the carnival, might figure out that Micah didn't actually have bipolar disorder. Maybe clinicians who are actually proficient at their professions wouldn't write idiotic notes in her chart like, "Patient needs to listen to her husband." You know who allegedly claimed that he did have bipolar disorder, though? John Paul. According to an article in the Post and Courier, during one of his and Micah's separations, John Paul started dating an adult daughter of a family in the church. The parents confronted JP and the elders of the church about what they called inappropriate behavior from him towards their daughter on those dates. John Paul told them that his actions were because he was having bipolar episodes that were happening because his marriage was falling apart. Well, kids, if there's one thing that will fix a marriage, it's going on dates with other people and then acting inappropriately. If John Paul was so distressed from his marriage failing, why was he even dating? Maybe his inappropriate behavior was that he forgot to leave enough room for Jesus between him and his date. Does John Paul actually have bipolar disorder, or was he just using that as an excuse for his caddish behavior? There are other signs that point to the possibility that he does have bipolar disorder. He once said in a sermon that he was on 900 milligrams of lithium and had demons coming out of him. I got the impression from that he felt that 900 milligrams a day was a lot, but it's actually on the lower end of typical doses. And what is this obsession with lithium? It's an old drug, and its use has declined quite a bit in the past decade or so. In fact, fewer than 35% of patients with bipolar disorder are prescribed lithium. And maybe that's because it can turn people into zombies, and unlike zombies in the movies, medically induced zombies are easier to control than, say, a feisty young brunette who isn't medicated. Micah stated on a 911 call that John Paul took medicine that made him sleep until it had metabolized. I'm not sure exactly what she meant, but it sounds like he took a nightly medication that knocked him out for a while. I knew someone once who was on Seroquel, which is a common medication to treat bipolar disorder. He'd take it at bedtime, doze for a bit, and then get up and eat all the food in the kitchen. That carpy-harpy Tracy Citrullo posted a video of Micah, and Micah was asking John Paul if he'd taken his medicine that night. There is also a police report where Micah was worried that John Paul was having a manic episode. Micah made a video that strongly hinted that she was being given illegal meds. According to a recent True Sunlight podcast, Micah's medical records that were given to them by True Crime Re indicated that Micah and JP shared medications. In her allegations of abuse, Micah wrote that John Paul would crush pills up and place them in her food. So how medicated was Micah at any given time, and how many different types of medication was she taking or being given at one time? I think that John Paul getting state-of-the-art psychiatric care, while Micah was left to fend for herself in the gutter of the mental health care system, speaks volumes. John Paul Miller is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. However, in the court of Agatha's opinion, he has the personality of a sucked orange. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.